Hello everyone, it's an honor to be back here at BCB in this unusual year, doing it virtual this time, but we've been part of BCB for many years, probably 6 or 7 years in Berlin, and of course the 2 editions of BCB Brooklyn as well. So it's nonetheless an honor to be presenting. We always do at BCB the now famous concept of Cantina Mexico, where Don Fulano partners with other great tequila producers like Tequila Fortaleza, like Arete Tequila. Sometimes in different editions we invite other agave distillate producers like La Venenosa Raicilla, Derrumbes, Mezcal, Sotol, etc. No? And the idea is to promote within the growing categories of agave spirits from Mexico, to promote a small batch, family-owned craft distillers. Tequila and mezcal in general is a great category that is having a lot of excitement and growth. And so we're going to continue in this brief talk to talk about this promotion, specifically of tequila, or as I always like to call it, Vino Mezcal de Tequila, which literally translates to mezcal wine from tequila, no? Which is the original name of this amazing spirit, no? That gives us so much of its history, of its roots, of its origin. No? So that's the idea of this brief talk. We would like to try to go deep into what gives identity to this beautiful spirit, and some of the challenges that come with the growth of the category. So the first thing that I would like to do is to kind of zoom out, to position ourselves in the geography, in the place that makes this spirit, so we can try to understand its origin, its identity, and its essence, because we feel that this is what sometimes is lost out of sight. And it's what is, without a question, one of the big challenges that we face today as an industry. No? So tequila is one of the many mezcals of Mexico. No? Mezcal is produced all over Mexico. The word mezcal is made up of 2 Nahuatl words, which are metal and ixcali, which literally translate to cooked agave. So by definition, although not by denomination, tequila is a mezcal. No? The reason is because today both of them have their own appellations of origin, and this has definitely helped in many ways. But when I speak of mezcal today, I'm going to speak in the broadest sense of a spirit distilled from agave. No? The name of tequila, as I was saying, its original name is Vino Mezcal de Tequila. No? It speaks about a product specific to a place. No? If we think about other spirits, cognac, for example, is a brandy from a very special region in France. No? The same with tequila. Tequila is one of the great mezcals from this beautiful place, which is Tequila in the state of Jalisco. No? And this is what really gives identity to this product. Jalisco, whose capital, Guadalajara, is the 2nd biggest city in Mexico. If we take it as a central point and we draw a 250 kilometer diameter around it, we find what some archaeologists have denominated Mexico's magic circle. And this is because it's the only place in all of Mexico where all its 5 major ecosystems come together. No? So in Jalisco we can find everything from arid scrublands to tropical evergreen forests to grasslands, and with a range of altitude that goes from sea level to above 4,000 meters from sea level, no? With a few different volcanoes, one of which is the volcano of Tequila. No? So in the skirts of this volcano, we find the town of Tequila that gets the name from the volcano, and of course from where this amazing mezcal comes from. No? One of the main particularities of the mezcal from tequila is the fact that it was one of the first mezcals in Mexico to be cooked using steam. No? And if we remember that within the name of metal ishkali, cooked agave, here we're going to find the two essential elements of tequila production or mezcal production. Obviously, the raw material, the agave, and the slow cooking that brings a whole transformation. So tequila being cooked with steam as opposed as cooked in underground pits using oak that gives smokiness to other kinds of mezcal. The mezcal from tequila is known to be a very elegant, very subtle product that respects the flavors and the characteristics of the soil, of what we call the terroir, and all this richness. No? The other main thing about tequila is that it uses one specific kind of agave. Of the more than 200 species of agaves that we find in Mexico, tequila has always been defined by one species, which we call commonly blue agave or agave tequilana Weber. Now, this is a very special agave that is endemic to this area of Mexico. And before it was the main kind of agave, today is the exclusive agave of tequila. So all of these characteristics give us a very good idea of what is the most famous of all mezcals, and today the fastest growing category of spirits in the world. Now there's a lot of excitement, which obviously brings a lot of positive things to Mexico, to Jalisco, to the tequila region. But it also presents multiple challenges. No? So we're going to first go to the essence of the spirit, which is, without any doubt, the agave. So we're going to start, of course, talking about the agave. And even though it's a subject that could take 2 or 3 seminars of its own, we're going to try to synthesize. Without a question, the single most important thing to make tequila or any agave spirit is the raw material. This is what gives a uniqueness to this category. If we think about spirits in general, we're finally beginning to understand that the agave spirits of Mexico don't represent only a category within the world of spirits, but actually they're one of the few big families. No? If we think about whiskeys, for example, no, being produced in Scotland, in Ireland, in the US, in Asia, with a common denominator of grain spirits, and obviously with the importance of maturation, that being a family, no? Or for example, the brandies, fruit spirits, no? Whether it's cognacs, the armagnacs, the eau de vis, these kind of hold together another one of the big families. In that same way, the agave spirits of Mexico are a big and one of the most complex and biodiverse families of spirits, no? And this all has to do with the agave. I have the fortune to have been born in a family of agave farmers. We've been farming agave for 5 generations, a little bit over 140 years in the highland region of the state of Jalisco. And for us, there is no question that the single most important thing to make a great tequila is the work in the fields, the selection of the agave, which presents a lot of complexities because each agave is an individual. No, it's not like wine where the vine gives fruit every year and you only harvest the fruit. No, in this case, once you harvest an agave, that's a full life cycle. No, you have to plant a new plant. No, but one of the key elements that the industry of tequila, the growing industry of tequila, doesn't quite get is that chronological time in the agaves doesn't mean almost anything. No, it's all about physiological age. No, you can have an agave that fully matures at 6 years, blue agave even at 5 years. No, but you can have one that takes 13 years to mature. No, so selection of each and every plant is something very important when trying to produce great spirits that are completely natural, free of additives, no, because you're centering everything there, no. So my family, specifically Enrique Fonseca, my uncle, who's still master distiller at Tequilana, all the Fonseca family in the Highlands are a long-time respected agave farmers, but he specifically was part of the founding members of the CRT, which is the regulating body for tequila. And he was specifically in charge of creating the regulations for the agricultural part of the industry. No? And at that time, it was very clear that the maturity of the agave was a fundamental part of the identity of tequila. Enrique and his father, also Enrique, they devised a scale of maturity that used to be common to trade agave in the industry. No, unfortunately, this scale is no longer used or very seldom used by distillers. No, this was a scale of 5 steps of maturity, where tierno was the first in the scale, which literally means unripe. So it was really an agave that shouldn't be used to produce tequila. No, it was followed by entrado, which literally means entered. No, it means an agave that has entered its process of maturation. Then we had sazon, which was an optimum point of maturation that was widely used in the industry before. And then maduro agave, which was, as its name suggests, it was a fully mature agave. No? And finally, the last step was what we still today call pinto agave. No? It's an agave that presents a lot of coloration, and it's really the last window of its maturation process. This is a little bit complex, but the reason why it's so important to harvest agave at the right time is because the agave has some of the most complex sugars that you can find, no? And hence the complexity of agave spirits. But these sugars, which are called fructans, they're structured in very complex molecular chains, which are pretty much inaccessible. No? That's why when we see a raw agave, it doesn't seem to be sweet. It's not something that you want to try, no? Because they're concealed in this, and of course these are some amazing mechanisms of adaptation that this plant that has over 12 million years of evolution has developed. No, so in order to access that richness and that potential, we need to break down these complex chains into more simple chains. So that's why cooking is so important, because that's precisely what we do. But it's not enough. No, we always say in my family, we say that the agave needs to start its own internal factory before. No, and that's why each agave has its physiological time, and hence the importance of selecting plant by plant. No, at Tequilana, we believe that up to 70% of making a great tequila is just making sure that the agave that comes into the distillery is the right agave, no? Because that alone allows you to let the process pretty much unfold itself, no? Without having to get into it, to push and pull, to add nutrients, to change the chemical compositions, balance, pH, because you have not only the complex sugars, but also the enzymes that are needed to do a completely natural organic process. Unfortunately, on a later revision to the standard, to the norm for tequila, the word mature was removed by this pressure of the greater industrialization of the category, no? But it's not only the word that was removed, but this conception of the importance of the maturity of the agave. In this sense, we're very fortunate to be one of the few remaining families that produce from ground to bottle, no? Coming from a farming family, we grow, select and harvest 100% of our own agave. Of course, there's still the opportunity, I know, of a lot of or a a few producers that do very good job in selecting their agaves, but in general it's become a big challenge, no? Because even as the industry and the category grows, even for outside people that want to invest, even in the fields, it's becoming a trend, no? And sometimes a very profitable business. But in those models, it seems to be better financially to harvest young agaves, no? Which is a big problem. But that's, of course, only half of the problem, because the other half is that there's way too many distillers willing to buy that agave, no? Which is not quite ready to become tequila, no? So what happens, no? After the fields, we go into the other part, which is the production process, no? So to speak, the craft of making tequila, no? And this is another fundamental part and a beautiful process, and we can very simply break it down in three fundamental pillars, no? Which is cooking the agave, fermentation, and distillation, no? In terms of cooking, there's a few different options, no? Always using steam for tequila, but different vessels, no? Cooking, as we said before, it's inscripted in the original name of mezcal, so it's a very important process for what we already spoke, no? About breaking down the sugar. So more than the vessel itself where you cook the agave, it's the timing, no? That it's a slow cooking, that you can do a full transformation of these sugars, no? So that's a key element. Then comes the extraction, which is kind of in between these two processes, no? How you break down the agave, how you extract the juice, which we call agua miel, literally honey water, from the fibers, no? And whether you ferment with or without the fibers, no? So even though we can break the production of tequila in these three pillars, let's always keep in mind that there are more than 60 variables, no? How you cook, how you crush, if you ferment with fibers, without fibers, distillation, if it's done in copper, what kind of stills, for how long, and how you do your cuts. Now, this all gives an amazing richness to the category, and that's why I always say that true distilleries, when they make a natural product without any additives, this is their beauty and their magic, no? Because the product is gonna be a blueprint of every single one of these variables, no? That's why spirits are so fascinating, no? Fermentation, that's for me, at Tequilana, we believe that is the heart of the production process, no? It's a bit of a paradox because it's where you have the least control, but it's really where the magic happens, no? And that's why it's so important to have mature agaves, not only to have all the sugars, but also the enzymes that can make this fermentation happen very naturally, no? In our case, we use open tanks, proprietary yeast that comes from the same source, so a completely natural fermentation, no? And then there's distillation, no? Distillation, as opposed as fermentation, which is the biological part, distillation is a physical, chemical part, no? You don't really create anything new, you just break down, separate. And here, of course, is where not only human knowledge but sensibility play a bigger role, no? Because that's the role of the master distiller, to be able to make the cuts that he wants, to separate, to put together, and this is, of course, a beauty. There's a big richness, as you can see here, and most of these variables bring nuances and give diversity to the products and identity to the producer and the distiller. But there's a few things that not only change the flavor or the nuance, that actually alter the DNA of the product, no? Of course, we already talked about using young agaves, which is the single biggest mistake that can be done. But once that is done, the tequila industry not too long ago came with these things called diffusers, which basically do a process that avoid cooking the agave. Instead of doing a thermal hydrolysis, they do what is called an acidic hydrolysis, doing a cold extraction of the agave. And of course, without the cooking element, you're eliminating a big part of the equation. Of course, yield is what gives meaning to this process, but sacrificing a lot of what gives identity to the product. It's at the end you end up having a product that doesn't have the complexity, the depth, the connection with the fields, with the soil, with the agave, with the rain, not only of that year, of the last 8 years. All of these things that we either consciously or unconsciously capture in a natural product. So the young agaves, the diffuser, something else also came. Once the industry or some producers were doing that, they also decided, okay, if we're doing this, might as well distill to very high proof, using column stills to distill to 85, 90% or even above that. And then what you're producing is closer to what we could call an agave flavored vodka than a tequila properly. So all these changes not only change, as we were saying, the subtle notes of the product, but its DNA, its identity, its history, its tradition. So it's very important on the side of the consumer to understand that 100% agave in the label no longer is representative of a great spirit. There's other subtle things that we need to find out more. On the good side, on the positive side, there is much better ways to connect with the products that you like. But we always say the best way is always trying, feeling, see if there's that connection with the agave, with the plants, with the fermentation, with the soil, etc. Of course, all of these products that are produced in such a fashion will at the end need to use additives. And the tequila industry, as most spirit industries and wine industries, allow producers to a certain percent or volume of additives. In the case of tequila, is 1%, but they're usually going to make up for this lost in character with the use of glycerins, of vanilla extracts, of caramels, of fruit essences. But is it still a spirit? Maturation, that is another big element. We already discussed agave, which is really the fundamental part, and the 3 pillars of production or the craft of making tequila. But another very important element is in maturation. Maturation is something that as an industry we're still learning a little bit new to the whole art and complexity of maturation. But we believe, and those who have visited us in Tequila Town have seen that it's a big passion for us to play and to explore the possibilities of maturation. We believe that a key and central element to the growth and scaling of tequila can be found here in maturation by aging products, by creating inventories, not only for volume, but also to highlight all the complexities that you can find in tequilas, just playing with your own variables, where the agave came from, what time of year was it when you fermented and distilled, what kind of fermentations, different distillations. So you start creating what we call a liquid history and a collection, a library of products. This obviously helps in terms of meeting the demand, but also in creating the profiles. In this sense, Enrique again was a pioneer when very soon after he acquired, together with Enrique, his father, La Tequileña distillery in the heart of Tequila Town, already having gathered a lot of knowledge from their own clients, some of the best distillers of the time to whom my family used to supply agave. But they still felt they needed tools to become the distillers they want. So they, specifically Enrique, traveled to Scotland and spent some time there, and then to France as well. And that was eye-opening, in terms of many things. In Scotland, for example, the use of different techniques for distillation and how you can play with different styles of product that you can later blend to create profiles. In France, the importance of the history of each and every barrel, and how you can not only age different products but then create what they call coupage, or marrying products to build layers of flavors. Of course, this gives you great potential to create final products, because all of your ingredients come within your own distillery, from your own production. You don't have to resort to any external element. For us, that is essential to keep our products made up of only 3 ingredients, which is state-grown, hand-selected mature agave, proprietary yeast that comes from the same source, and natural spring water. That in our case is from Tequila's volcano. But you're only playing with your own products to balance, to create highlights, to achieve profiles. And it's amazing the difference that a natural product like this makes from something that can be done to taste this way, that can be made smooth, that can be made sweet, but that it's in reality a product that it's being produced from young agave, as everything that we've been saying, in a very industrial way, lacking all the complexity, and then at the end, bringing those flavors through added means, a little bit of glycerin, a little bit of vanilla extract, a touch of caramel to give color, this and that. So it can be made to taste smooth and balanced and this. But that's only the tip of the iceberg, The experience of a natural product that it's only the agave, the yeast, the water, is completely different. How you're going to experience it, how you're going to metabolize it, the brightness that it's going to bring in, because you're going to consciously or unconsciously link with its whole process, all the way to the fields, to the agave, to the rainfall, to the sun that this amazing plant captured for very long. So this is for us key to our whole way of producing, and it's definitely a very important thing to keep the identity of Mezcal de Tequila. We're very fortunate to be among one of the first and few tequilas to be now verified additive-free, through a program called the additive-free verification process by Tequila Matchmaker and Taste Tequila, which is definitely going to create distinctions within the growing category.
Hi everyone, I'm Christina. I'm your brand ambassador for Don Fulano on the East Coast, based out of New York. I represent a category that I'm extremely passionate about, that I have a lot of love and enthusiasm for. And I share that enthusiasm with a lot of bartenders these days, as well as a small group of consumers as well that are looking forward to all the smaller batch mezcales, the raicillas, the bacanoras, all the great Mexican distillates that are coming to the market constantly that we're so lucky to be able to discover. However, I'm also looking forward to shifting the focus back towards the largest category, that is tequila, that in the excitement now often gets left behind a little bit. And within that large category, we have this small group of producers that produce really mindfully made, wonderful, wonderful tequila that is so much fun to discover or rediscover. And I'm looking forward to drinking some of this great tequila with all of you very soon.
So these are the three pillars where we feel that the identity and also the challenges of the great spirit of tequila rest. No, we spoke about the importance of the farming side. No, we strongly believe tequila and agave spirits to be agricultural products. No, so that is definitely something that cannot go wrong if we want to scale and do it right. No, there's also the part of the craft at the distiller where you, as a producer, you have a lot of room to play and to experiment, no, without changing the fundamental DNA. And the maturation, no, maturation by storing, by building inventories, by playing with all the nuances and the little details. It's possible to create amazing profiles and face the growing demand of products. No, we by no means want to put all this in a negative way. All the contrary, we believe that there's a great richness and excitement and potential in this category. No, there's some people that see it more on kind of a panic way, that we're killing tequila or mezcal. No, and by no means we feel that way. No, Mexico is a vast territory. The state of Jalisco is pretty big. No, there's enough space to farm agave, to grow this beautiful industry, but it has to be done with passion, with consciousness, with attention to the details. No, on the positive side, there is a big trend on that side as well, not only in spirits, but in restaurants. No, the great chefs are now farming for the ingredient, no, for the quality of that courgette or that tomato. No, so this is also moving towards that side. Of course, there is the other side. No, how easy it's has become to make new brands. No, a lot of these new brands are born in marketing studios, no, endorsed by celebrities, contract from third parties. So in this ecosystem of making believe, it's very easy to lose this sensitivity of the things that matter. No, however, we also feel that there are amazing brands out there. There's some amazing distillers. We're also close together for the most part. We work together to promote this amazing category. There's amazing knowledge out there on the side of the industry, bartenders, distributors, and that's obviously also a great and key element, no? Because we need this education. We focus all of our marketing dollars into communication, education, and on the side of the consumer, there's also amazing ways to be closer to the producer, no? And we strongly believe that our choices shape our world, no? So the purpose of all this is for the consumer to be able to make more informed decisions and to support people whose passion and whose roots and whose energy is placed here producing great products. No, so I just want to say salute to BCB, to everyone who's listening. We're very excited ourselves. We invite you to appreciate good tequilas, good mezcals, to give them the respect that they deserve, to the product, to the producers, to the biodiversity. Also being mindful of the consumption. Sometimes in these crazy times we drink too lightly. No, I always like to promote conscious drinking, as we do it in Mexico, always with good friends, with family, always with food, even if it's nibbles. And also, as my great friend Guillermo Erickson Sousa, one of the great tequila makers, says, don't forget to water up. Salud.
Hi guys, my name is Sergio Muniz. I'm the West Coast brand ambassador for Tequila Don Fulano, and I'm here to talk to you about the industry trips that we host. You see, about 3 times a year, we invite bartenders, servers, hosts, basically managers, anybody in the hospitality industry that carries Don Fulano. We invite you to come down to the town of Tequila in Jalisco, and basically you get to observe the process that goes into making not only Don Fulano, but also 2 other neighboring distilleries in Fortaleza and Darete. You know, it's a really special experience. The moment you set foot off the bus, the whole town smells like cooked agave, and you get to not only experience the process of how these spirits get made, but also the culture and the tradition that goes into every single bottle. You know, I went on my first trip about 7 years ago, and you know, once it was all said and done, I came back with not only an appreciation for craft and small brand and family-owned spirits, but also just the hospitality industry as a whole. You know, I didn't realize how much of a family this industry is and how special it was to have so many like-minded individuals just share good times over tequila. I don't say it lightly when I said this trip changed my life. And so please, whenever things calm down, we invite you to come down to the Tequila Don Fulano and share a little tequila with us. Cheers.